Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now celebrating 17 years of broadcasting success, here's your host, Cyrus-Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus-Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, both for our radio audience here in the South and our online audience tuning in through our friends at iHeartRadio as well as Amazon Music. We're glad you all could be with us as well. We're excited to welcome Rebecca-Zung to our program today. Rebecca is not only recognized as one of the top divorce lawyers in the country, but she's also a best-selling author as well. I just started reading her book, Negotiate Like You Matter. We're going to talk to her about that, but also about her podcast and the work she's been able to do as a narcissist negotiation expert. If you guys are not following Rebecca online, as well as the work that she's doing, I'll definitely let you guys know how to stay connected with her. Rebecca, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be with you.
Well, I'm excited about this time, I know this has been a challenging year, Rebecca, and some of our audience may actually be in need of your services on the other side as a divorce lawyer. But, you know, I really was so inspired by your work you've been able to do in the sharing of information. So I want to kind of begin the conversation there. What has it been like for you to be able to share your expertise with others, Rebecca, and to let them know how they don't have to stay in situations that can be challenging for them?
Oh, it's definitely very satisfying and very, you know, it continues to ignite a passion in me because I get literally at this point hundreds of messages a day, whether it's comments on my YouTube videos or my podcast or direct messages or emails where people give me feedback that, you know, I've made a huge difference in their lives. And it's great for me because I actually, you know, I've learned it all as a lawyer, and I've been able to help many people as a lawyer in their negotiations, and that's why I wrote the book, Negotiate Like You Matter. But I also have had to deal with narcissists quite a bit, whether or not it was in my own practice, but also in my personal life. So really figuring out how to move the needle for people when they're dealing with toxic personalities, it was a big aha for me, and I love sharing that.
You know, it really was interesting for me when I was prepping for this. It's almost like the building of a brand. You know, I thought about one of the people we talk about a lot on this program, Rebecca, is Martha Stewart, and how she took one thing that she was really passionate about, and it really built almost into an empire. Here you have your work you've been able to do as a divorce attorney, and then, of course, you have this, you know, podcast. Then you have this best-selling book. At the time we're having this conversation, the book has been out, Negotiate Like You Matter, now a year, still in the top 50 on Amazon bestsellers list at the time we're having this chat. And then, of course, you know, the other work you're able to do. Do you feel as though one brick kind of built on each other? Is that how you thought it was going to happen, or did it just evolve that way?
Oh, it definitely just evolved that way. I mean, honestly, I had gotten married at 19 the first time, and I had 3 kids by the time I was 23, and then divorced at 29. I went back to law school really as a means of what I viewed as survival. I just wanted to put a roof over our heads and put food on our table and be able to give my kids a life. So I wasn't thinking in terms of, oh, I'm going to do all these incredible things. I was just thinking about the fire right in front of my face at the time. So it's really just evolved.
And that evolution now is able to impact people and to reach them where they are, whether they are readers like myself or, you know, listen to podcasts or watch videos. As you mentioned on YouTube, I noticed, you know, over 90,000 subscribers there on your YouTube channel. I want to go to the other thing, though, that you've been talking about a lot, especially on social media, on Instagram, and that is narcissism. You know, we hear this word, you know, we hear, you know, people being called a narcissist. Talk to us about the work you do as a narcissist negotiation expert and how that came about.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's toxic personalities all the time, but whether or not a person is actually a narcissist is, you know, you don't even really necessarily know. Most of the time, they do estimate there's 1 in 10 people in the world are narcissists, but regardless of whether they've actually been diagnosed as a narcissist or they're just extremely difficult and toxic, it's very hard to deal with them. And as an attorney, I've seen people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on fees and be 3, 4, 5 years into this thing and get nowhere. And it wasn't until I understood the concept of what's going on with narcissists and narcissistic supply and all of the things that they're doing in order to continue to feed their need for control, you can't settle with somebody like that unless you understand how they tick, how they work. And so once I figured that out and I was able to apply all the skills that I had mastered over the years as a negotiator, that's when I started to see movement and started to realize, wait, I can share this with the world. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can apply what I've learned and actually get what you want out of your negotiation.
In your book, Negotiate Like You Matter, Rebecca, early on you give an example of someone who just the idea of admitting they were wrong, admitting that they had done something, was so difficult for them to be able to do. Is that a sign that people would look at and say, okay, this is a person, who I may be dealing with a narcissist here?
Oh, I mean, it could be. I mean, in that case, it was really interesting because, he was looking at paying her over $2.5 million of alimony over the next several years, and all she wanted was an apology. And she said, I'll waive all the alimony if you just apologize. And he didn't even want to do it. So, that could be a red flag. But really the main thing about that about narcissists is, all of us want to feel seen, heard, and know that we matter. So that is not a narcissistic trait. And we all want that as humans. That's why I call the book Negotiate Like You Matter. It's kind of like a continuum. So when you get all the way to the end of the continuum and it's a pathological problem that you have no inner sense of value, you have to extrapolate all of your value from the external and by devaluing people and debasing people, and you have no sense of care, compassion, or feeling for anybody but yourself, that's when you're in the narcissist range.
Well, it's something definitely for our audience to think about. Rebecca, I want to ask you about the year that we've had with 2020. What have you noticed this year when it comes to practicing about some of the things that may be causing people to either consider divorce or lead them to divorcing during this year?
Yeah, I mean, we did notice a huge uptick in this country in the divorce filing rate in June when everybody had kind of just come out of that first major wave of lockdown. And I think that what it was is that there were a lot of people who were maybe living kind of separate lives or maybe not really facing the issues that were going on in their relationship. And now here they are, they're stuck together, they can't go anywhere. Maybe one party used to travel all the time or something like that. And they started to realize, I don't think I really like you very much. And so the problem started exploding, and that was that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's something to consider, and unfortunately we've had some conversations on this broadcast over the past several months about that's one of the things that people are noticing. However, on the other side, we had one expert saying they're also seeing also an uptick in people getting engaged. So maybe that's part of the balance that we're seeing this year with 2020. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, it's on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome Rebecca-Zung to our program today. Rebecca is not only one of the top divorce lawyers in the country, she also hosts a popular podcast dealing with the issues, not only, of course, with divorce, but also narcissism. She's a narcissist negotiation expert and a best-selling author. The book that I started to crack open is Negotiate Like You Matter. We're going to remind you guys how you can stay connected with Rebecca. Rebecca, I mentioned social media earlier, namely Instagram. For people who are following you there, it's just your name. But talk to us about how you've been using that platform, because I love the fact that you give us snippets not only from the podcast, but also able to share information in the notes as well. How has social media kind of helped you to expand on your message?
Well, the social media that really has helped me the most has been YouTube. I started talking about negotiating with a narcissist not even a year ago at this point. And so you just mentioned I'm on my way to having 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And that really just has happened in the last 10 months or so because, I think that people really have a need. There's, as I said, 1 in 10 people are estimated to be narcissists. And if each one of those people, narcissistically abuses or affects, people in the world, 5 people, 10 people, how many of us are really affected? It's kind of like no one is immune in a lot of ways.
So what has it been like for you to know that you've been able to be a source of not only information, but also inspiration for people who are looking for help, Rebecca. I mean, what has that been like for you in the work that you're doing?
Well, on a personal level, it continues to inspire me because obviously I've had to deal with toxic people in my life too. And, it's hard. I mean, it does a number on your brain. It's, you wake up in the middle of the night, you're thinking about it. You wake up in the morning, you're thinking about it. You're walking the dog, you're thinking about it. And so it's being able to take my knowledge and skills from a legal perspective and also what I had to learn from a personal perspective and put them into something where people can learn from it, and I'm helping people all over the world. It continues to inspire me too.
One of the things that you recently, speaking of YouTube, Rebecca, is one of the most recent videos you posted was an interesting one, and I thought, as a single guy, I didn't even think about this, but the title of the video was Gifts That Are Red Flags of Narcissism. Talk to us a little bit about that, because you kind of talk not only about that issue on your channel, but also another recent video had to do with, of course, navigating, of course, the issue with family during this time as well with the holidays. Is that one of the things that you are noticing, that gifts are one of those ways that people can kind of tell, okay, this is something about this person I may not have realized?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, 'tis the season of giving, but then, sometimes you get a gift and it's just like a way to devalue you a little bit more. And so it can be very confusing and add to the crazy making in your brain that they do. I mean, so, it might be something like a concert tickets to their favorite concert, to their favorite band, or exercise equipment to let you know that you need to lose a few pounds, or, something like that. I mean, maybe it's a repurposed gift. Maybe it's something that's not even your size. Maybe it's something like a large to kind of let you know that I think that you're large when you're small, or it's the cheapest thing that they could possibly find. I mean, it's all these different ways. It all comes back to a way to devalue you.
Definitely important signs to be able to think of. I think when we're looking at relationships, I'm glad to have someone like you there to be able to share. Again, everyone, Rebecca-Zung has been our guest. She's not only one of the top divorce lawyers in the country, but she's a best-selling author. We've mentioned her latest book is Negotiate Like You Matter, and you have to pick up the book to see what the acronym for matter is. But also she's a narcissist negotiation expert as well that can be seen all online. So, Rebecca, how can our audience stay connected with you?
Well, I have a free gift. They can get a free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet, and by just going to the URL winmynegotiation.com. So winmynegotiation.com, free negotiation worksheet. And my YouTube is youtube.com/Rebecca-Zung. I'm at Instagram at Rebecca-Zung. My website is rebecca-zung.com. So easy to find me.
You are, and we will make sure that we link up winmynegotiation.com in the notes for our friends at Amazon Music as well as iHeartRadio as well. Rebecca, thank you so much again for this time. I really appreciate you stopping by the program and looking forward to having you back on the show again.
Thank you so much.
Hey, the pleasure is definitely all mine. Definitely want to thank our mutual friend, Zach Tepperman, for helping us set up this chat for today. And thank all of you, our audience, joining us on the radio side and online for another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus-Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Let's go make today amazing. Take care.